This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Hello, joining us today is Jason Brewer, the Executive Chairman of Neo Energy Metals, following two recent news releases. The first being that Eurodite has completed an independent update of both the operating and capital costs estimates previously defined in the feasibility study completed on the Henkries Project by Anglo Operations Limited in 1979. And secondly, the news of Neo Energy Metals appointing AcaciaCap Advisors Proprietary Limited as the company's corporate advisors in South Africa. Hi, Jason.
Good afternoon, Pam. How are you?
Hi, very well, thank you. Great to have you with us today at Stockbox. Now, we did speak to Sean Heathcote last week, the CEO of Neo Energy Metals, regarding the RNS release last week on Eurodite, completing this study on the Henkries Project. What will you be doing now that this study has been released? How will you be pushing forward?
Yes, look, this study, Pam, which was done by Erudite, an independent study, was essentially updating the operating costs and the capital costs for the project development there of the Henkries project. The previous feasibility study, which was a positive one and was completed by Anglo American, was done several decades ago. So we needed to update it. With these numbers now, we know it's a very robust project. There's no question about that. Those numbers spoke for themselves, very robust. We now use these numbers to basically push ahead and finalize our development plans for the project. These numbers were based upon a 10-year operation, producing at various levels depending on the resource there. And we use almost a base case and an initial target case. But the next phase for us now is to really push ahead with this project, use this data, and basically firm up these numbers now to allow us to make this development decision and commence development and production by the end of this year.
As you mentioned, the last time this study was done was in 1979. Now that it's been updated and a clear three-step process has been identified, tell us more about this process and the steps involved.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's important to know that, the resources, that low case was just take the project as it is now. No further increase in resources, no further real detailed work. Clearly, that's not what we're going to do, but we use that as our low case. And that low case is based upon the work which has been done on just 10% of the project area. So there's tremendous upside potential here. Okay. The mid case, the CPR case, which included resources of about 7 million pounds of uranium, that was based upon sampling work of material that is already bagged and is to be assessed, analyzed now by independent laboratories. And based on that, we expect that resource to increase from the current 4.7 million pounds, 5 million pounds, up to that kind of mid case that you refer to. The target case, that 10 million pound of resources, that's what we expect to achieve by the next phase of drilling to be completed starting in the second half of this year. So starting very shortly, and to be completed over the first 3 months. So within the next 3 months, we anticipate having achieve that target case of 10 million pounds of uranium resources. And that's really not stepping out beyond that 10% of the project area that's already been the focus on historically. So that's the next step of our work. That's the kind of the focus that it's been. And it really gives us a baseline, I guess, upon which we know we've got a very economic, very robust project, and which we can build on and add greater value to over the course of this year, and obviously as we move into development next year.
Well, First Equity have released a research report as well, based on the independent study completed last week by the mining consultants Erudite, and they used that report to update their own valuation of the company to determine a share price target valuation. What was that valuation? Can you tell us more?
Yeah, look, you're right. First Equity, a UK-based broker there that have followed us, and we appointed them when we listed in November last year as our broker. They've updated their research report and their valuation of us based upon these numbers, based upon the project economics. They looked at the three cases. They also obviously did a lot of risk assessment in there, reduced the various economics by various percentage points, development risk, resource risk, and so on. They came up with an average price target there of 3.3 pence per share. So several times what we're trading at the moment. And again, that in their mind, and to use their words, significantly understates NEO's upside potential. When they looked at that target case, okay, of the £10 million one, that implied a valuation of 10.3 pence per share, at the current uranium prices. So there is a lot of upside here, which First Equity are flagging. They're being quite conservative, I believe, in their price target of 3.3 pence. But, I'll take it. It's multiple times of what we're trading at the moment. And hopefully investors and shareholders can take a bit of comfort from that. But, they've done their analysis. They've done a lot of sensitivity analysis in their report, very detailed report, I'll give them credit for. And they've also looked at other things. The outlook for the uranium sector is probably one of the bullish sectors at the moment, given the underlying demand for uranium power and so on. And they looked at that target case of 10 million pounds uranium resource at a uranium price of $120 a pound. And that increased their share price valuation up from up to a range of between 8 and 17 pence per share. So there's a lot of value, I think, in NEO. And thankfully, First Equity, to their credit, they've moved very quickly to get this report out. And it just reconfirms the board's position in that the Henkries Project is a very strong project and one that we need to focus on and get pushed ahead as we look to develop it towards the end of this year.
Well, also in your RNS, the second RNS, you have stated that you've recently appointed Acacia Capital as corporate advisors for Neo Energy Metals. Now, what was it that made you go with Acacia? Why did you choose them to be your corporate advisors?
Look, Acacia, I've been working with them for the past several months in South Africa. I seem to be spending half my time there between East Africa and Southern Africa. Spending a lot of time there. Got to know the team there. Very good team. They've, from a stock exchange point of view, from a Johannesburg Stock Exchange point of view, they're accredited there as an independent expert. So they've got all the necessary credentials, the contacts, and the market presence. We've this, I guess, on two fronts here at NEO. Obviously, to assist us as we push ahead with the development and the production scenarios there at the Henkries Project. But also, NEO was never set up to be a single project company here in South Africa. It was always set up, it was always listed to be developed as a major South African uranium company. And South Africa is one of the world's, has the 5th largest reserves of uranium in the world. It's got Africa's 2nd largest reserves of uranium. It's been producing uranium since 1952. It's got such incredible infrastructure and resources and reserves there. And so we've appointed Acacia, who we're going to be working very closely with, to identify opportunities which we can bring in to NEO and look to be strategically important for us as we look to grow NEO as not just a single project, a single mine operation, but having multiple mines in South Africa, producing not just at Henkries, but at other places throughout South Africa.
Yes, because the RNS does also state that parallel to its work on the Henkries uranium project, Acacia will also be completing its due diligence on negotiating terms for potential additional advanced uranium mine project acquisitions. That's quoting from the RNS. Can you expand on this? Are you currently in talks with other mines, other projects? How is this developing?
Yeah, that RNS was very clear. It confirmed that we are completing detailed technical and legal due diligence. It confirmed that we are negotiating with various parties. And that's been the case for a number of months now, and was clearly set out in the prospectus when we listed this company in November of last year. So, yeah, it was only last week I was I was in the Witwatersrand Basin, which is where all of South Africa's current uranium production comes from. I had the pleasure of visiting a site, seeing some of the infrastructure there and so on, of where, yes, South Africa is producing uranium. At the moment, all of South Africa's uranium production is as a byproduct of its gold production. So, there is, I guess, an opportunity as NEO moves forward to have that kind of, we are a uranium company, but on the flip side of that, we could have some byproduct gold production going forward, which, given the gold market at the moment, I'm sure investors won't be too worried about. But yeah, no, we've confirmed in that RNS that we are looking at growing the company beyond just Henkries. And yes, that work is ongoing, and we hope that over the coming weeks and months that we'll be able to announce something which shareholders can get behind, see the value, and support us in our ambitions and our growth strategy.
Well, with the appointment of Acacia, you're clearly stepping up your activities in South Africa. When will the next phase of work be starting again on the Henkries Project?
Henkries work is ongoing now. So right. It's about now working with the assay labs to get the results back on the assays from the historic drilling, which was never tested previously, which we expect to have a material increase on our existing resources. So that's the first point. We moved very quickly into the appointment of a drilling contractor. So we're very fortunate at Henkries that the majority of that uranium mineralization is only 15 meters down. So it's from surface down 15 meters, and it's in sand. So you've got a very low cost, very rapid drilling program that you can implement. So that's going to start literally post 30 June. Those results will come in very quickly. And as I said earlier in our discussion here, Pam, that's going to get us up to our 10 million pound resource target, I believe, very quickly in the second half of this year. In parallel with that, more metallurgical test work, because clearly since the original feasibility study was done on this project, there's been some major developments in how you extract uranium. So we've got to upscale, upgrade our technology and how we're going to process this. So there's more work to be undertaken there. The mining study is very simple. I mean, in fact, it's not really mining. You're moving sand. So, but it's moving ahead to allow us as a board to make a very clear and defined decision by the end of this year to move this project into development and production.
So you're looking for the project to be in development and production, a very clear pathway forward. Well, thank you, Jason, for coming along and updating us here at Stockbox. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. No doubt we'll be speaking to you soon.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.